Welcome to Channel Divinity, Dungeons and Deconstruction. This is a podcast about the sacred intersection of storytelling, spirituality, imagination, and play, and the surprising places where meaning shows up when we start asking better questions. Today's conversation is a supplementary episode to a gameplay series we're currently running called Religion Check. In that series, a group of players gathers around the table to play Dungeons and Dragons, exploring story, character, morality, and imagination together in real time. In this episode, we're stepping away from the dice and the character sheets for a moment and inviting the players themselves to reflect on their experience at the table, what it feels like to participate in collaborative storytelling, what kinds of communities form in these spaces, and how imagination, spirituality, and play intersect in ways that might surprise us. My name is Mattie Mae and Braddock, and this is my friend and dungeon master, Braddock Eason. Say hi, Brad.
Hello.
And today we have Addison, who plays Sjor, a tiefling sorcerer. Ooh. We're so glad you're here. And before we get started on everything in our initiative order, would you tell us a little bit about the person behind the character sheet? Who is Addison?
Yeah, I don't know. The person behind the sheet's pretty cool, I gotta say.
She is.
I don't know.
We all know and love her.
It's not like I'm not biased or anything. Anyway, so I'm Addison. Like Mattie said, I am a PhD student at Oxford. I study masculinity and sexuality in the Hebrew Bible, specifically with 2 Samuel. So I think a lot about David and David's sons, specifically the sons. And like looking at the intersection with modern concepts of masculinity, especially. So I think a lot about incels, but not in like a I love incels kind of way, but in a like why do they exist kind of way, and how can we like rethink them. But yeah, that's kind of like my day job, I guess. Yeah. It's kind of crazy that I just research as my job, I guess.
It's the best.
It's really cool. Fun. I'm very passionate about it. Yeah, but I also am just a big fangirl too, as the both of you know. So I love all things fandom, whatever. I do have other hobbies as well, but I just love being a fangirl, and I love, I like thinking about that too, and with my research as well. Like I think a lot about fanfiction too. So those are kind of the main things I guess.
What are your
and I love D&D
What
too.
are your major fandoms that keep you up at night?
I knew you were going to ask me. Well, right now, I'm so glad you asked. Right now, I'm really hyperfixated on the pit. It's taken over my whole life. Yeah, it's a really stressful show, but for some reason, it just is really clicking.
Scratches that
in my
itch.
Little...
Yep.
It scratches the itch, and the fan fiction is so good, and the fandom is crazy at times, but it's also really fun. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just fun nerding out with people. I feel like I'm in high school again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's a big one. I mean, Marvel was always my OG. That's like, Marvel and Harry Potter are like the top two. But I kind of veered away from Harry Potter for, somewhat obvious reasons.
I did watch the new trailer, which was pretty fire. I did really enjoy it.
I did see it, but I it just is. Anyway,
Marvel. I get it.
Love Marvel.
So, yeah. But, yeah, those are, the pit right now, though, has taken over my life.
That's awesome.
So. Yeah.
Well, we start off these conversations always in the same way, and then we let that sort of guide the rest of our conversation. What is your D&D testimony? What about D&D do you like? What experience have you had with D&D? What's your experience been playing with us? Just tell us. You're familiar with the language. Yeah. What's your testimony?
Yeah. My testimony. I know, but this is a fun kind of testimony. I like this version of a testimony. Yeah, I got into D&D like fairly recently, like probably when I started my master's at Yale in 2020. When was that? 2023, I want to say, is when I got into Critical Role first, because it had like come up on my like, I'm a chronically online girly, if you can't tell. So it came up on my like YouTube explore page, and I was like, what is this? And I would see like clips come up on like Instagram or whatever, and I was like, this seems kind of cool. It's just a bunch of friends hanging out and getting to like just make this really incredible story together, and just kind of like, I don't know, it also just looks so fun, and they all just laugh and cry, obviously, but like it just seemed really fun. And so I started watching it, and I had a remote job that allowed me to like, I didn't have to talk to people really, so I just
That's
like
the best.
yeah. So I'm no longer hired. I'm no longer at this job since I moved to the UK, so I can talk about this. But yeah, while I was working, I would just be watching Critical Role, and so I started with campaign 3. That was because it got really big, I guess, around that time, because I think it was kind of coming towards at least close to the end. It was like around, I guess, episode 80 or 90-ish, I want to say. Yeah, and I just kind of fell in love with it and got really sucked in, and then have always wanted to play it, and this is my first campaign, and it's so fun, and like whatever, because I feel like growing up I was very like, I would make a lot of stories, obviously, with writing fan fiction. That's a big one, and like still do that, slay. But like I had lots of like imaginary friends and like lots of different things. Like I had hanger friends, where it was just clothes hanger plus dress, and it was my hanger friend.
That's hilarious.
or I had toilet paper friends that was just toilet paper as my friends.
Wow.
So
Such a creative child.
I guess so. But I feel like a lot of my like creative pursuits, I guess, have been very like isolated and more like with just myself, which obviously is like very important to do like creative things on your own. But it's really fun to also do that with friends, and so that's been really fun for me, is to kind of get to do that with other people and not just me. Yeah. Does that, you know what I mean?
We're more than toilet paper friends to you.
Right.
Yeah, I would say there's a bit more substance to it. So
I honestly got sad when you first said that, because I imagined like high school Addison, like a senior, like just having like hanger friends. But once I lowered your age, that makes more sense. Yeah.
I mean like elementary school vibe.
Yeah, that's what I.
High school.
That's what I figured.
High school was more like Tumblr vibes. Yeah.
Was there a character on Critical Role that you connected with a lot? Like one like from just like a personal, like I feel seen in this character, and then like one that you're just like, I wish I could be this character. Like, do you have those two?
Yeah.
Your sun, your moon, and your rising, or whatever. It's like
my rising, my ascending, and my whatever. Let's see. I feel like oh gosh, because I just have such a soft spot for campaign 3 since it was the first bit of D&D I ever watched.
Is that the Mighty Nine?
No, that's campaign 2. This one is
Bell's Hills.
Bell's Hills, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I instantly got very emotionally connected to Imogen, because she has like major firstborn daughter vibes, like eldest daughter, whatever vibes. And I just felt a lot of my inner self whenever I would see her being played. And she's just a badass, and so obviously there's kind of some similarities, I would say, between Sjor and Imogen for sure, with like their angst and like, I don't know, they're badassery for the most part. But I also am very emotionally connected to Caleb, I think, too, for similar reasons. I think both of those played a very big role in me forming Sjor. Because I think when I started thinking about what character I wanted to play was right when I was super hyper fixated on the Mighty Nine, because the show had just like finished airing, I guess. The rest of the season had come out, and so I was like I was looking at so much Caleb stuff. So yeah. So I don't know. Those are kind of my top two, I would say.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Our table is a table of deconstructed baddies. What is your relationship to faith and spirituality? What has that been like in your life, and what is that like now? And also, I'd be interested to hear, like, as you reflect on, it seems like you've always been a very imaginative child, always connected to fandoms. Have you, have you like seen those as separate spheres in your life, where like in one side you have like the spiritual place, and then in the other you have your imaginative place, or do you see those like integrated?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Wow. Anyway, I'll start with the first part first, obviously. Yeah, so I like Mattie said, we're all a bunch of deconstructed baddies. I grew up Southern Baptist evangelical, and I grew up going to church every week, multiple times a week, and my church was a mega church. So it was like thousands of people there. And I was Texas, very involved. Right? In Texas, yeah, in Austin.
Where everything's bigger.
Where everything's bigger, literally. Love her though. Love Austin. One day Texas will turn blue. I believe.
We believe. Yes.
We believe. Inshallah. Anyway, so I was very heavily involved growing up, like going to small group things, going to different events every summer, doing like camps, and then like I did my undergrad degree. I started out in doing Christian ministry because I thought I wanted to do missions, which crazy lore drop.
But I'm not surprised.
Yes.
I feel like missions is an interesting place in Southern Baptist where women get to be involved.
Yes,
where
exactly.
You get to women get to do all the things that men get to do in missions.
Yeah, it's like mostly, I would say most of the mission trips I went on growing up were mainly, if not all, women. Yeah. So it's a big space where like women are able to do things that in a like Southern Baptist or non-denominational church they wouldn't be able to. So it's like an interesting like liminal space that kind of happens there. So started out wanting to do missions, and then COVID hit. And shit kind of hit the fan, obviously. Yeah. Literally for the world, but also for me.
Yeah.
Because I was still very involved. I went to, like, a conservative Christian college. I wouldn't say I was conservative, though. I would say I was the problem child. Mm-hmm. But in terms of my faith and everything, it was still, like, very, like, strong or whatever you want to call it. But then COVID hit, and it kind of just completely deconstructed. Just like as I started to learn more in like biblical studies and take more classes on where I just like sat with the text and was reading it, I was like, I don't know what to think about this. I don't know, like what I'm hearing in church on Sundays and Wednesdays, mainly Sundays, is so different from what I am reading and studying in the text. And I'm Mattie. I'm sure both you, Brad, and Mattie have had this experience too. Like, there's just such a disconnect between the academy and the church when it comes to the way that we study and talk about the biblical text. So I was like, I don't know about this. And luckily, my professors were very like progressive at my undergrad university, so they were like open to me coming and asking them about questions that I had, which I feel so lucky for because growing up I did not have that space. I was the one who was always asking questions, but it was like, nah, we don't ask those questions. Stop.
Where's your faith? Come on. People with faith don't ask questions.
I know, exactly. Like, what do you mean? You're stumbling, bro. And I was like, okay, whatever. So then I just got like super deep into biblical studies and switched to Christian studies, which is more like focused on the text rather than the ministry side of things. Did like Hebrew and Greek and stuff. And then, so then it just kind of, in terms of my faith, like it was probably around like 2021, 2022 when I just kind of stopped going to church altogether because it was just too much for me. I would be too anxious to go. I would be really pissed off if someone like said something stupid, or like the worst is when they start using like the Hebrew or Greek and it's just so terrible. And I'm just like, oh
Jehovah was always triggering for me. I was like, stop saying Jehovah. Come on.
That's probably one of my biggest triggers, like saying Jehovah. I'm like,
Okay, you guys, for a lot of our listeners don't know what you're talking about, so really quickly.
Okay, I can explain. I can explain as our resident Hebrew Bible scholar.
Yes.
For sure.
So in the biblical text, it has Yod He Vav He. Those are the Hebrew letters that spell out the divine name. And a lot of people think that the way it's pronounced is Jehovah. But that is not grammatically the case because it's based off of the word Haya, which is like to be. And if you have a O vowel there, it doesn't make sense. If you have the A, it would be something more like Yahweh grammatically. It makes more sense because it's supposed to be the third masculine singular of grammatically. It's supposed to be that form of the verb. So it would look like how the verb is. And Haya is a weird verb, so it doesn't take on the normal nuances of what a like simple form of an imperfect would be. So it does some funky stuff with vowels, so it'd actually be Yahweh. But yeah, even then, I don't normally say Yahweh. I normally say Adonai, because that's how the Jewish community reads the text and did read the text and talk about the text in the ancient times, in the ancient world. So I normally just say Adonai. But I don't mind saying, I don't mind if other people say Yahweh. It's just a personal preference thing. So
Thanks for nerding out.
There's my little.
I love it.
Thank you.
My little Hebrew cap.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, just stuff like that happened, and then I feel like I just kind of stopped. It wasn't anything like, it was very gradual for me, I feel like, to get to where I am now. But yeah, I don't consider myself religious as of right now. I think, Mattie, I've told you this before, of like, I take on the Rhett and Link's idea of like a hopeful agnostic, and that's probably what I would consider myself to be. Yeah, so, but I feel very comfortable with where I'm at, of course, open to options, but yeah, right now I'm just trying to make it through the PhD, man, so that's what I'm focused on.
That's...
Does it... Sorry,
no,
Mattie, you can
please go ahead.
I was going to say, so like, I feel like there's, even though we carry a lot of hurt with those communities and like we see like just the horrible messages that were communicated through there was still that community aspect that's lost. Do you feel like D&D has scratched any of those itches that you might still long for from that church or that even that Southern Baptist tradition growing up? Like, has D&D helped with that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just help with that, but I also feel like I've just been through a really big transition in my life with moving to the UK and starting a whole different degree and like whatever. And so it's been nice to have that, which like I know doesn't answer your question, but that's just me being honest.
It does.
That I just am really grateful for this time. But yeah, I do think in some sense like it does kind of. It's like a weekly time to hang out with your friends, which is basically how I approached church growing up. Was like a weekly, I would get to, all of my friends went to the same church as me. Some of us went to school together, but most of us went to different schools. And I had a massive small group. It was like 20 girls. Wow. And then we were also like, we had like a brother small group as well that was like our guy friends, and of course we all dated each other, obviously. Sure. But it was like we did everything together, and so like, and even in college as well, it was something similar, like having, when I still did like was involved with college ministry and stuff, we had small groups and that kind of thing, and just like a time to just check in on each other and like laugh and cry with each other. And yeah, it definitely, like, that is something that I think I miss for sure, is that kind of weekly community. And I mean, I was lucky for my master's, of course, to have a really great group of friends, and we all lived on this like commune basically at Yale, and so we all lived very close to each other and would have dinners and stuff, so that helped. But I think for D&D specifically, there's something about it where it's like, it's different than like a traditional hangout with other people. Yeah. It's like you get to come together and you get to do and talk about this thing that you love and make something really beautiful together. And that I would argue is even better than the small groups I did growing up, because those were not very safe spaces for me. They were very judgmental a lot of the time, and would make me feel terrible about myself. And so, so I think this is better in that it's everybody just meeting each other where they're at and just like wanting to have, you know, I don't want to say good time, because sometimes, Brad, you stress me the fuck out, bro, but like...
I don't know what you're talking about.
but it's been like, honestly, like, yeah, it's more than I could have dreamed of, honestly. It was everything I'd hoped for, so, yeah.
You can dunk on me during this call, because like last episode, Lena was like talking about all this trauma that I've apparently put her through a few years ago that I had no clue about, so...
Yeah, bro, that was crazy.
But I said last time, I'm intentional about trying to give you options for like fanfic with characters going on. So I do have you in mind, Addison, like as I'm crafting the storylines.
Don't worry. It's already there.
If we see any like fan edits or fan fiction about this campaign, we know who it's coming from.
It's coming from me.
I did say we need a show when this takes off of just Addison taking us through her fanfic.
Yes.
Just the Addison fanfic hour.
I write it and I make y'all read it.
I'm here. Like we're reading a play.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, bro. You get it.
So something that I've been like thinking about recently is D&D as oral storytelling. And the obviously like how many connections there are between how the Bible was written and how a D&D campaign was written.
Yeah.
Have you like, I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that? Especially being like a Hebrew Bible person, like that's more Hebrew Bible domain than it is New Testament.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of are our own, like, Dead Sea Scroll Qumran community, if you think about it. Like, someone is going to get mad at me for saying that. I don't care.
They're not invited.
I just got an email. Addison's been removed from the Oxford PhD program.
Oh, my God. Hey, let's not, I'm knocking on wood. I'm not taking any chances, Brad. No, okay, my first thought about that is... One, I think that would make a really good paper.
I know.
Two, I feel like something that I've been thinking about in my own work and stuff is just how seriously scholars take themselves, and how I think that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, there is just so much drama, and like people romanticize the shit out of academia. Yeah. I do. I'm an Enneagram 4. I romanticize literally everything.
Me too,
bro.
sis.
So. Yeah, every time I'm in the library, I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm such a scholar. Yeah. But, like, people need to know about the realities of it, and that it's a political game as well, completely. There's the creative aspect of it with our research, but it is a political world as well. And it just, like, it sucks, and it doesn't have to be like that at all. I don't think so. And so I feel like if we think about, like, I do this with fan fiction as well, and, like, rewritten Bible.
Yeah.
With it, also a part of like the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff, with like using fan fiction as a paradigm for thinking about text and that kind of thing. Because I mean, like we mentioned, the biblical text was not written originally. It was an oral text that was then written down along the line. Don't really know when. I don't care about dates or historical criticism, so that's not my bag. But yeah, so I feel like these like thinking about like, you know, oral history and the biblical text and D&D or fan fiction or whatever is a really fun paradigm to think about the text in a way that maybe it hasn't been thought about before. And also it's just fun. Like I don't care about who wrote what or whatever. Like that does not matter to me. I like to think about different ways we can interpret the text that are meaningful to people who, like, whether you're religious or not, because obviously I do biblical studies. I think that the text is important. Like, even though I'm not religious at all, like, I still find value in it, and, like, think it's just, like, a really fascinating piece of literature. But yeah, so I think these moments of, like, play or, like, moments of creativity have a really there's a really fantastic opportunity to be able to do something really fun and like interdisciplinary with it that hasn't really been done before. So yeah, I don't know if that really like answered your question.
No, it does.
But like that's where my brain went.
I think people will really want to hear more about what you said about fan fiction and rewritten Bible. So for those for people who don't know, what are you talking about when you say rewritten Bible, and how does that connect to how you think about fan fiction?
Yeah, okay, so rewritten Bible, it's kind of become a little bit of, people are starting to kind of, this is how it goes in biblical studies. People have terms, and then we rethink terms and how they're used. So rewritten Bible is like, maybe not the best way to describe what's going on in like the Dead Sea Scrolls or like the manuscripts that were found in Cairo Geniza, which is like this, it's like this Jewish, oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher it so bad. It had a bunch of manuscripts
like a library
that are old.
Like
a library, yeah. So it was basically like a Jewish library and it had a bunch of old manuscripts. Anyway, so rewritten Bible might not be the best term, but it's the best one that we have right now. So that's just my first caveat. So when we talk about rewritten Bible, we're talking about primarily the Second Temple Jewish texts. So we're thinking about the Cairo Geniza texts, and we're thinking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. So, for example, a really big one is Jubilees, or I love the Genesis Apocryphon, which is very similar as well. And in these Dead Sea Scrolls, especially in Jubilees and many other ones, you see a lot of the same text that we find in the Hebrew Bible, but it's either shortened or expanded upon. So, for example, I'm just going to skip to the Genesis Apocryphon and not use Jubilees because I have that more fresh on my mind. So in the Genesis Apocryphon, it has a much longer version of the story of Sarai and Abram going to Egypt. Much longer version, and it has this whole poem in it that is not found in the biblical text. So what we call that kind of expanded version of the text, or just like the different ways that the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Cairo Geniza manuscripts kind of how they change the biblical text or rewrite it in some way, that is rewritten Bible. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, and so I like
AKA fanfic.
AKA fanfiction.
Yeah.
So I kind of started this thing at Yale where I would bring up, in my classes that I took for on Dead Sea Scrolls, every semester I'd have to take one on a different Dead Sea Scroll manuscript. I'm not kidding, I would try to bring up fanfiction as much as I could because it is just like, it is fanfiction. Like, it literally is. So I'll mention, like, I'll use Harry Potter as an example. Not, all of the shit aside, it's just a good example. So, in Harry Potter, you have The Cursed Child, which is like the play. A lot of people I would say most people in the Harry Potter fandom choose to ignore that as part of canon. They just kind of like take it away and whatever. And then they have this separate book, which they would use fan fiction as kind of becoming a part of canon. Like, a lot of like head canons are really, okay, I should explain things here. I'm using a lot of fandom words. Okay, canon is like what is published or what is, so like in the biblical text you have like the 66 books or like depending on whatever, and then you have the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are not a part of canon. So
CANON. No, not two N's in the middle.
Yeah. Right. So in Harry Potter, you have like the 7 books.
Right.
That's the canon, and you have Cursed Child. That's also canon technically. No, but not really. Not in my world, and not in a lot of people's world. Anyway, so a head canon is like what fans make up about what they think is canon. So yeah, so canon is really not canon, if that makes sense. It's catch-22 of sorts. But yeah, so I think there's something interesting with fan fiction where a lot of the times these these pieces become very big and popular, or people really like the way that they talk about the text, to talk about like a book or something, and then that becomes their version of canon. And and they might change some things. They might change how characters interact or do things. So that is pretty much rewritten Bible in some sense. It's like,
so basically
they take the text.
Yeah, it's this idea of you love the story so much that you can't help but be a part of it. So you want to be a part of it in some way, either in writing or in thinking or in community. Like you want to enter into being a part of this text.
Yeah, and almost with those instances too, like they can carry almost to some extent just as much meaning and purpose as the original content itself. Because even like with the world we're playing in of like Dawn and Feltrin, like I'm not pulling this stuff out of my ass. Like this is all inspired by every Critical Role I've watched, every Dimension 20 I've watched, every like fantasy story I've read, and like as well as just pulling from the Dungeons and Dragons canon, like all of it's us creating stories out of stuff that's already been there, as well as like our characters too.
Yeah. It's like it's something about where we all come to, the text or the campaign or whatever with our own context. There, you can't just like. There's nothing that is created that's not inspired or thought of by something else, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. Like, so I think that's like Jubilees, that is a text. This is where I'll use Jubilees. So Jubilees is probably the most, like, we have like the most, I might get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. We have the most like manuscripts of Jubilees in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Like there are a ton of copies of Jubilees, not just like, I don't even think just at Qumran, but which is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, but also at Cairo Geniza as well. I think that's where we have our main kind of Jubilees manuscript. And these were circulated as part of canon, a part of the canon in some sense, is seen as just as important as the other biblical texts that are found. So, so I think it's just a really helpful way to think about it that is not entrenched in like, historical criticism or like something that is, supersessionist or anything like that. So,
and I mean, if you want to go New Testament a bit, like Jesus and Paul are really good Jews.
Fine.
Jesus and Paul are really good Jews in that they're really good at writing midrash too. They also love to engage in their own fan fiction here and there.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. If we start talking about midrash,
y'all have to present at like your conventions a joint thing about Bible and fanfic.
Me and Mattie are trying to have our own. We're trying to have our own convention.
Yeah, maybe we should change that from masculinity to D&D.
That would be so fun. Oh my god.
There'd be so many nerdy Bible scholars who would pull up for that.
That would be awesome. Are you kidding me? I would be so down.
But it's interesting how you say, like, how you said earlier, like, people are so, like, scholars are just so serious. And I think that, like, people just in general, especially, like, from our tradition of, like, evangelical, and for you and me, Addison, Southern Baptist, like, they take the Bible so seriously. They're so serious about it to where if you use the word fan fiction to talk about any part of Bible, like they're going to freak out. But I do think that there's this playfulness that you learn through D&D or through like other fandoms or that you understand. It gives you like such a great glimpse into the power of story and community. That helps you like have more levity in the way that you, and it's not levity in the sense that we think it doesn't matter, it's levity in that like this began as play, it's still play, how can we enter into this play? That is really cool.
And I was gonna think I forgot to answer the part of your question that I was really interested in.
I wanted you to loop back.
Separating, I've never been asked that before, but in my head they are separate, and I think they've always been separate. 'Cause, I mean, again, I've been a part of fandom since I was like 8. I'm 25 for context, so it's always been there. Probably just as long as like, I mean, now longer than when I was religious, technically, I guess, or like conscious of being religious. yeah, it always felt separate to me, like, because being in a church space felt a lot like, I mean, it was me masking, basically. Yeah, like, having to pretend to be this, like, I don't know, this version of what a young woman was supposed to be, that this church wanted me to be, and what the other girls in my small group were, and how I thought I was supposed to be. But I think being a part of fandoms has been separate from that, because it allowed me to, like, be myself in some sense, and, like, let go of that mask. Because, I mean, obviously it's very parasocial, because you're not talking to real people, like, that is an important part of it. But there is something about it that allows you to kind of, like, express yourself creatively, whether it's, like, through fan fiction or edits, or even, like, making, like, art or whatever. I wish I was that talented, but I am not talented in that way. But yeah, it just gives you, like, the creativity to be able to be yourself in a way that, like, a church, like, didn't really let me be. And also, like, you know, I was able to be, like, very, like, progressive, if that makes sense, because I kind of had to, like, be a closeted progressive, if that makes sense. Like, I remember being told to my face that, like, I mean, I'm sure Mattie and Brad, you've heard this too, like, you know, if you're a Christian, you vote a very certain way, and if you don't vote a certain way, you're not a Christian. And I was like, I mean, I'm from a big city in Texas. I'm from Austin, and so and I went to a big school, and so I was in band too. That also adds a layer here. So a lot of my friends were like queer, or like have had like, you know, were non-binary, or like had different gender expressions and that kind of thing. And it was so different from what I experienced in church too. So I had to, like, pretend, you know. So that was also a part of it that let me kind of, like, interact, like, to not hide that part of myself, you know. So
what's different about so it's interesting because you have to pretend in one space, like in the church, but then in D&D you're very intentionally pretending. You're playing pretend. And so what feels different about those two types of pretending?
I would say part of it is the pretending in D&D is consensual. Yeah, that's probably a part of it, is, like, choosing to play pretend in that sense. I don't have to, like, and it's not me hiding a part of myself. It's me, like, I still feel like Sjor is still very much a part of me, and obviously, like, we all project ourselves onto our characters in some way. So she feels a lot like me, and it's, like, very therapeutic in some way. It's like,
honestly, hearing your story now, like, I'm like, oh, that's why Sjor's built that way, like, without giving anything away, but it's clicking now.
Yeah, I know she's kind of a bitch, but I love her because I see it myself a lot in her. So yeah, because it's, like, one of the things where whenever I meet people, they're always like, oh, I thought you hated me at first. And I'm like, no, I just have ADHD and I'm just, you know, like, that's just the way that I am. Yeah, so I think it's like a therapeutic kind of pretending that has more play involved, and it's not me hiding. It's not me hiding a part of myself, because it is a part of me. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, at least that's what I would say. So. Yeah.
Brad, I feel like I've been dominating this conversation just because I love talking to Addison so much. So do you have any questions for her?
I've been asking my questions. I feel like I've been getting in there. It's all been great. So
okay, well, I'll just go ahead and ask, like, our last question, which is, if you could give any advice to any person, but maybe specifically, like, the deconstructed evangelical or ex-evangelical or whatever name they want to use for themselves, who might be interested in trying D&D, what encouragement and advice would you give them?
What a good question. I feel like what I was told when I talked to some of my friends from my master's about I didn't, like, tell them, you know, all our secrets, but I was just like, oh, I'm playing D&D for the first time, what do I do? And they were just like, lean into it. And yeah, I feel like that would be mine. Just, like, lean into it. Like, obviously, like, we like Brad, you said this, like there, especially when we first started, like there are going to be awkward moments or whatever, but you just got to kind of lead into it and accept it. And like, again, like what I said, this is me bringing up the like taking scholarship seriously thing. Like you can't take yourself too seriously. Like it's a game, even though I'm very emotionally invested in this game. So yeah, but I would just say lean into it. Like don't be afraid to mess up or that kind of thing, because I think especially for like people who are either freshly deconstructed or even like now, like as a seasoned deconstructed person myself, like I am still worried about like how I'm perceived and like how I like come across or whatever. Something along those lines, but like, or worried that people are going to judge me and then that's gonna like put me, like blacklist me basically from like a group or something, even though that's hopefully not going to happen. So I feel like just like leaning into it and letting yourself kind of not take yourself too seriously. Like you don't have to hold on to that. Like this is a place where you're allowed to kind of let go and just have fun. You know?
I feel like you're so good at that. Like for what it's worth, like you are so good at like 100% leaning in and not taking yourself too seriously, and you bring that energy to our group in a way that's like really valuable and cool to watch. So thanks for that.
Stop it. That's so nice.
Definitely. Sjor and her 16-year-old buddy, Dolly.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know she was 16 at first, and then you said that, and I was like,
she's just a baby.
What do you mean she's just a baby?
It's so good. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and close this out then. So, Addison, thank you for this conversation about, it's been so great, about imagination, storytelling, the sacred possibilities of play, and most importantly, the sacredness of fan fiction. Go write some fan fiction, everybody. But as we now see, sacred isn't just found in sanctuaries, it's also found in the roll of the dice. And I'm going to add this in, Mattie Mae, in our conversations too. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Channel Divinity. If this conversation resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, check out Religion Check on YouTube, wherever else it might be found. Until next time, prodigal pilgrims, stay curious, play boldly, and go slay some dragons. And write fan fiction.
Period.